In a village where meals were small and dreams felt heavy, a young boy believed he never had enough. Every night he looked at his plate and saw only what was missing. But one moment, one meeting, would change the way he saw food, life, and gratitude forever. This is not a story about hunger alone. It is a story about seeing clearly. This is the story of the empty plate. In a village surrounded by dry fields and narrow paths, there lived a boy named Eli. The village was quiet in the evenings, and when the sun went down, the sound of cooking fires and distant voices filled the air. Eli lived in a small house with his mother, Sarah. The house had cracked walls and a roof that leaked when the rain came, but Sarah cleaned it every morning as if it were a palace. Hunger was a familiar feeling for Eli. It followed him like a shadow. He felt it when he woke up, when he walked to school, and most of all, when he sat at the table every night. Every evening, Sarah cooked with great care. She measured food with her eyes, not with cups. She knew exactly how to make little food last. When dinner was ready, Sarah placed 2 plates on the small wooden table. The plates were old and chipped, but clean. Eli stared at his plate and felt disappointment rise inside him. "Is this all?" he asked, his voice tired and frustrated. Sarah paused for a moment before answering. "Yes, my son," she said softly. "This is all we have today." Eli sighed loudly. He thought of other children in the village who had more food. He thought of the days when his stomach hurt from hunger. Sarah ate slowly. She always ate less than Eli. Sometimes she stopped halfway and said she was full. Eli noticed this, but he never spoke about it. The truth made him uncomfortable. At school, Eli watched other children eat freely. Some dropped food on the ground, some threw food away. Each time he saw wasted food, his stomach tightened and his heart felt heavy. One afternoon, instead of going straight home, Eli walked slowly through the streets. The sun was low, and the shadows were long. He did not want to return to the same table, the same question, the same small meal. That was when he saw the man. The man stood behind a closed restaurant, bent over a trash can. His clothes were dirty and torn. His body looked thin, almost fragile, as if a strong wind could break him. The boy slowed down, watching from a distance. The man reached into the trash and pulled out food. He looked at it for a second, then ate it. Eli stopped walking completely. His heart began to beat faster. He felt sick, not from the smell, but from the understanding that was slowly growing inside him. The man did not rush. He ate carefully, respectfully, as if the food mattered. As if it was a gift. When the man looked up, their eyes met. There was no shame in his expression. There was only tiredness and focus. The look of someone doing what must be done to survive. The boy felt something break open inside his chest. He thought of his plate at home. Small, yes. Simple, yes. But clean. Warm. Given with love. He thought of his mother standing in the kitchen, late at night, saving food for tomorrow, pretending she was full so he could eat more. He walked home slowly. The streets felt quieter. The world felt heavier. When he reached the house, the smell of food greeted him at the door. The same food, the same plates. But he was not the same boy. He sat down and stared at his plate. For the first time, he did not feel anger. He felt shame, and then something softer, something warmer. He picked up his spoon, then stopped. He looked at his mother. Her hands were rough, her face was tired, her eyes were kind. "Mom," he said quietly. Thank you, for the food, for every meal. She froze, her eyes filled with tears. She smiled, a soft, fragile smile that carried more warmth than the food ever could. That night, the food tasted different. Not because it changed, but because he did. He ate slowly, not to make it last, but to respect it. Hunger still existed, but it no longer felt like an enemy. It felt like a reminder of effort, of love, of what truly mattered. From that day on, Eli still dreamed of a better life, but he stopped hating the one he had. He learned that gratitude did not fill the stomach, but it filled something deeper. And every time he looked at his plate, no matter how small the portion, he remembered the man at the trash can and the woman in the kitchen. And he understood a truth that stayed with him for life. Gratitude turns what you have into enough. The days grew warmer as summer approached. Eli woke before dawn and listened to the village stirring, birds singing, roosters crowing, women fetching water from the well. He stretched and ran outside, feeling the soft grass beneath his feet and the warm sun on his face. The world seemed larger, fuller, and more alive than ever before. He walked past the fields to visit Musa. Today he carried a small basket of food, bread, some fruits, and a few eggs. Musa was sitting under the big mango tree, humming quietly, waiting as if he had known Eli would come. "Good morning, Musa," Eli said. "Good morning, Eli," Musa replied, his voice gentle but tired. Eli handed him the basket. "This is for you. I hope it helps today." Musa smiled faintly. He picked up an egg, turning it in his hands as if it were the most precious treasure. He cracked it gently, cooked it over a small fire, and then shared it with Eli. They ate together quietly, listening to the wind rustle through the trees. Eli felt a peace he had never known. Hunger had not disappeared, but it had changed. Now it reminded him to care, to notice, to appreciate. When the meal was finished, Musa told Eli about his childhood. He had once lived in a city far away, with a family, a home, and food on the table every day. But mistakes, pride, and misfortune had changed everything. Musa's eyes glistened as he spoke. Eli listened, captivated. He realized life could be unpredictable, wealth could vanish, comfort could disappear. And yet, even when everything is gone, there is still hope, and there is still gratitude. Eli returned home with the evening sun painting the village gold. Sarah was preparing dinner, humming softly. She glanced at him and smiled, noticing the calmness in his eyes. That night, Eli set the table carefully. He made sure the portions were balanced. When Sarah came, she saw him smiling softly, and she felt a deep pride and relief. As they ate, Eli spoke. "Mom, I saw Musa today. He shared his food with me. I realized we are richer than we think." Sarah paused, her eyes wide, then tears gathered in the corners. She reached out and touched his hand, feeling the warmth and sincerity. Days passed, and Eli began helping others quietly in the village. He carried water for the elderly, helped children with chores, and shared food whenever he could. The villagers noticed the change in him, his patience, his kindness, and the light in his eyes. One afternoon, Eli found a stray puppy near the well. It was thin, shivering, and scared. He picked it up gently and brought it home. Sarah laughed softly, placing it near the fire to warm. Eli smiled. Caring for another life brought a new fullness he had never felt before. Eli also continued visiting Musa every day. He listened to stories, learned lessons about survival, hope, and humility, and shared his own experiences. Their bond grew stronger than words could describe. Sometimes Musa would teach Eli small skills: how to make fire from sticks, how to find clean water, how to respect nature. Eli absorbed every lesson carefully, grateful for knowledge and companionship. At home, Sarah noticed that Eli's gratitude had become natural. He no longer complained about meals. He no longer demanded more than what was given. He learned to value every small blessing: a warm meal, a clean plate, a quiet evening. One night, Eli lay on his mattress, listening to the soft sound of rain on the roof. He thought of Musa, the puppy, the villagers, his mother, and the small meals they shared. His heart felt full, not from food, but from love, kindness, and understanding. He realized that wealth was not measured by gold or bread alone. Wealth was measured by the care you give, the love you show, and the gratitude you carry in your heart. From that day forward, Eli never looked at an empty plate and felt despair. He saw it as a symbol, a teacher, a reminder that even the smallest portion can feed the heart when shared with love. Years passed, and Eli grew into a young man. He remembered the small house, the simple meals, and the lessons he had learned. He remembered Musa, Sarah, and the village that shaped him, and he carried their teachings into every day of his life. He learned that gratitude is not about having everything. It is about appreciating what you have, helping those in need, and finding richness in the simplest moments. And in the village, the story of a boy, his mother, and a man named Musa lived quietly, teaching generations that happiness is found not in abundance, but in gratitude. Sometimes life gives us less than we want, but it always gives us enough to learn, to grow, and to care. An empty plate can teach a full heart, and gratitude can turn even the smallest meal into something rich. If this story touched you, remember this lesson today. What you have may already be enough. Thank you for watching. Until the next story, choose kindness, choose gratitude.